Aquí junto a Marucha, junto a Lito Calfunado, quien les habla, Calaverita Mateos. En otro momento que nos gratifica, ¿no? Nos llena de honor poder estar conversando con un músico que es parte de la historia mundial, ¿no? La historia mundial y que tiene que ver con Jah Wobble, que está en comunicación telefónica con nosotros y nosotras, me parece que desde Londres. Le vamos a preguntar ahora y saludarlo. Muchas gracias por estar hablando con nosotros.
Thank you for talking to us. We're gonna first ask you if you are in London right now.
Yes, I am. Yeah, and rush hour. I just from where I live in London. I live in half the time in the north of England, near Manchester, and half the time in London. And so I just had to go to the studio in South London very quickly, do some a vocal performance for a track, and then rush back to speak to you.
Okay. Dice que vive al norte, un poquito al norte de London, y que hace mitad del tiempo ahí al norte y mitad del tiempo en Manchester, y que se había ido de muy de último momento a grabar un track y volvió. Por esto es que cuando tuvimos una previa charla con él, apareció en una estación que no sabemos si era de
autobús.
De bus.
Aprovechamos para empezar, vamos a empezar esta conversación desde adelante, ¿no? Para atrás. ¿Puede ser que estés trabajando en la estación de colectivos, de bus, en el trabajo de un nuevo álbum que tiene que ver con los recorridos de algunos colectivos?
We're gonna start asking you about where you were a few minutes ago in a bus station, if we're not wrong, to ask you about your lately work in a new album about where you are recording the sounds of the bus stations. Is that right?
Yes, where I just was a tube station. So I wrote an album last year about buses in South London. In South London, there's not so much tube in South London, more buses, loads of buses, more buses in South London than Paris, New York and Moscow combined, I think. Very busy buses there. And I've just finished an album about the train that goes in North London. There's an overground train that makes an arc, semicircle through North London that I find very interesting, long line. Tourists would not really know that line, so it's a funny line. And I just made an album about that. But today we're just making an album, a record for fun. Recently, we were just in the studio. We built a studio, me and John Klein and another friend of ours, Anthony, who works for Merton Council. And we built a community recording studio. And John and I just went in there today just for some fun recently with one or two of the younger players. There's a nice Italian guy, drummer, who's been coming to our community thing. And we made a record with the community thing. We made an album, but we're working on like an EP. It's great fun, kind of pop music. Wow. The song is going in my head. So the song from today is in my head now, non-stop, always the same, you know.
Dice que escribió un álbum sobre buses, que es que dice que London está lleno, que es más que París y Moscú combinado, la cantidad de buses que tiene, y que es un tren que es underground, bajo tierra, que es bastante raro, que es como semicircular, que hace un recorrido semicircular en el norte de London, y que es una línea que es bastante, dice, graciosa, que es como peculiar, y que incluso los turistas no la conocen. Así que hizo un álbum sobre eso. Y que hoy está haciendo un álbum como para divertirse, dice, en un estudio que armó con John Klein, que es un estudio, dijo, community, que es como comunitario, con la idea de sumar jóvenes músicos, y está haciendo algo más tipo tirando al funk, al pop.
Excelente idea y no creo, me animo a arriesgar que no hay un trabajo realizado al respecto anteriormente. No sé en Inglaterra, pero a nivel mundial no recuerdo haber escuchado sobre un trabajo tan experimental desde la música.
Sí, en relación
a este laburo que
laburo
nuevo álbum.
Claro. he says it's an excellent idea, and that he doesn't know if he's not sure, but he thinks there's that you didn't do any other kind of work like that with a community and young musicians before.
Oh, I started. Yeah, that's right. I did a little bit. I worked with ex-gang members in London many years ago. So trying to help rehabilitate some young gang members.
Wow.
Very nice young people. Didn't have. We were warned when we worked with them, be very careful. You know, it could be very dangerous. But I didn't have any problem whatsoever with those people. No problem. No, nothing. You know, I took them to my friend's studio to work, and on the last day, their supervisor said, "We're going to go home. If they want to stay here, we would advise you don't let them stay here." And I said, "No problem, they can stay." So they stayed, and they said to me, and I was just relaxed watching football in the studio, everyone hanging out, and they said, "Why do you trust us? We could steal the equipment." And I said, if you did that, sure, it's not my karma. And they were laughing, and they were nice, very nice people. So I did a few things like that. They were lovely, and we would have liked to work more with them, and they would have loved to work more with us, but sometimes politics comes into play, and maybe we were, you know, whatever, it didn't happen. But tuned in, I started for older people. So it was old people really, but then young, it was really for old guys that drink too much, maybe used to play some music. But now we have women come, lots of women come, which is nice, and lots of younger people. So it's become like a club. So a lot of younger musicians come there, you know, as well.
Dice que sí, que antes trabajó con pandillas, con ex integrantes de pandillas, que los ayudó en un marco de rehabilitación que estaban haciendo, que todo el mundo le decía que tenía que tener cuidado, que era peligroso, que él no tuvo ningún tipo de peligro, que un día incluso estaba trabajando con ellos y le decían a ellos que se querían quedar un tiempo más, haciendo más experimentación, y que él le dijo que se podían quedar, así que un día estaba mirando tele y le dice, che, y uno de los de la pandilla dice, "¿Vos por qué nos dejás quedarnos si nosotros te podríamos ahorrar todos los equipos?" Le dice, no, le dice, ese sería tu karma, no el mío, le dijo él, y nunca tuvo ningún problema, que en realidad eran gente un poco más grande en relación a lo que está trabajando ahora, que está haciendo más laburos con mujeres y con gente joven, que bueno, eso es un poco el camino que está tomando ahora, que es un poco distinto a lo que habían hecho antes, pero que sí tenía un poco de experimentación al respecto.
Excelente idea y bueno, me agranda mucho más la figura de John en este caso. Y quiero viajar en el tiempo al comienzo de esta entrevista y que tiene que ver con, vamos a ir al punto, como hablábamos fuera del micrófono, que es el nombre. Tenemos entendido que Jah Wobble fue un apodo puesto por Sid Vicious, pero queremos saber si es o fue realmente así y en qué ocasión.
We understand that your name, Jah Wobble, it's a nickname that Sid Vicious gave to you, and we want to know if that is true.
Yes, it's true. I was with Sid, and we were very drunk, and we had a key to get into a flat somewhere in London. I think now, looking back, it must have been the wrong key, because the key wouldn't work. A big, thick door. So we tried to kick the door, it wouldn't work, and we tried to get the key. We were very drunk. And he said to me, you know, and he was slurring because he's drunk, "I'm going to call you Jah Wobble," because my real name is John Wardle, but my first name's John, Juan John. And so he said, "I'm going to go out Jah." And I said, and I was drunk, and said, "Sid, I'm going to remember that, because that's a good name. Thank you." And I remember, and we went off, and we broke into somewhere else. We broke into a squat to sleep or something, because we couldn't get into the place we had the key for, maybe the wrong key. We couldn't get in.
Dice que sí, que es verdad, que estaban en pedo con Sid y que tenían una llave que dice que para entrar a tenían un piso en algún lado y que no podían entrar, que suponen que la llave era cualquier llave, que no era la llave de esa puerta, que la intentaron incluso romper a la puerta y terminaron que no sabe ni dónde entraron, pero entraron a un lugar a dormir y que estaban tan en pedo que Steve le dijo, bueno, como que hablaba lento, entonces le dijo su nombre lento,
Claro.
yo te voy a llamar Jah Wobble, y que él le dijo, de todo lo que pasó esta noche, de esto me voy a acordar porque es un buen nombre, porque estaban los dos en pedo, entonces como que fue como un chiste que él dijo, me lo voy a acordar, y se lo acordó el otro día, y bueno, ahí quedó el nombre.
Excelente, excelente anécdota. Y bueno, siempre me llamó la atención, quisiera trasladarme al momento, cómo se encuentran con Lydon y cómo fue el proceso de crear la banda Imagen Pública Limitada. Y en ese caso era, ¿ustedes qué ambiente frecuentaban para escuchar como influencias el reggae y el dub? Porque me parece que era un marco bastante distinto a las otras bandas.
No. Mauro wants to know about the moments where you get to Leiden to create Peel, which were the places where you go to get influences from reggae and dub.
Oh, very good. I met John Lydon in 1974, I think, or 75 at King. It was a college for further education. So kids, a little college, not a university, for kids who'd been kicked from school, kicked out of school, hadn't got their basic school examinations, could go there to try again. And you had girls doing secretarial courses and boys doing apprenticeships for electronics for the telephone, the state telephone company, for instance. This was how it was. And I met John there, and he was a supporter of Arsenal, and this is like Boca Juniors and River Plate. So he's a Boca, it's like you have a Boca Juniors fan and a River Plate fan. You know, he's Arsenal, I'm Tottenham. You understand? Completely different football teams. And, you know, Boca Juniors and River Plate, obviously big rivalry, you know, and a big rivalry between Arsenal and Tottenham. So our first conversation was, I had a Tottenham scarf, and he said, oh, you know, you're not a Tottenham fan. And I said, oh, no, you're an Arsenal fan. This is when we've met in the college. And he was older than me because he'd been ill with meningitis. So our first meeting was awkward. He supported the wrong team. And I supported the wrong team. But we become friends. That was the beginning. And then we hung out together. He was older than me. He introduced me. I come from a poor part of town. I come from East London, East End of London. It's poor. Not many cultural things there, you know. And he introduced me to the North London, going to the Roundhouse to see groups. And then he disappeared for a while from the college, came back, and I said, "Hi, where you been?" And he said, "I'm in a band. We're called the Sex Pistols." And I thought, how can he be in a band? This is unbelievable. And then he asked me to go and see them rehearse. And at that time, there was a whole scene around King's Road, right near where I live in London, still is that area. And he was, the shop was there, which I'd kind of heard. One of the first girlfriends I had was very trendy, and she knew that shop. And so I kind of knew about the shop with McLaren, knew something about it. And then so he told me he was hanging out there and had gotten asked to join a band at McLaren's shop. So I thought this was very unlikely. I would be less surprised if he said he was training to be a 747 pilot or was going to join the Catholic priesthood. I would have been less surprised than say he's in a band. So he asked me to go to see the band rehearse. And I thought, this is bound to be terrible. It will be terrible because he won't be able to sing. How can he sing? He's not a singer. This would be terrible. But even then, I knew to be polite, to be very English and not criticize, just say, yeah, it's very nice. Even though I didn't think it was.
Let me translate because I'm going to forget, please.
Yeah, sorry. So
No,
come back if you need clarification.
Okay,
just come back.
Sí. Dice que lo conoció en el 76 en un colegio, que era un colegio para chicos que que ya, digamos, que ya estaban afuera y que era una manera de reinsertarlos, como una escuela como las de acá en las nocturnas sería, y que él estaba haciendo un trabajo en ese colegio, que estaba vinculado con las líneas telefónicas, y que él estaba, los dos eran, cada uno era de un equipo, que era como Boca Juniors y River, pero que se empezaron como a gastar por eso, así se conocieron, que después de él desapareció, y que volvió diciéndole que era parte de Sex Pistols, de la banda Sex Pistols. Flasheó, como que qué raro, decía él, como que le sorprendió eso, y que cuando, bueno, empezaron como a vincularse, él vivía en una parte como más pobre de Londres, y él le mostró toda la parte norte, porque él no tenía como mucha movida cultural en donde vivía, y que eso como que le abrió un montón hacia lo cultural, digamos, y que le pidió, entonces, bueno, cuando volvió, que le contó que estaban los Sex Pistols, le pidió que los vaya a ver, los fue a ver, yo no sé si era, como dijo algo de McLaren, que no lo entendí
El
bien, que
manager,
entiendo que,
Malcolm McLaren, el manager de los
ahí
Sex
está,
Pistols.
bueno, que fueron con él, y que dice que cantaba como medio mal, que no estaba bueno, y que, bueno, viste, quiso ser polite, que es como, quiso ser educado, y, sí, está bueno, and now I finished, you can go on.
Okay, right. Did you say the bit about Boca Juniors and River Plate?
See,
You have to have that.
but it's because you were comparing them, or you were really a fan of those clubs?
Oh, I'm a big fan. Well, no, I was a fan of Tottenham. I am a fan of Tottenham. I still go to see Tottenham. We always have Argentinian players. Ozzy Ardiles, Ricky Villa. We have Christian Romero plays for Tottenham now. We always have Argentinians.
Claro.
So I'm a big Tottenham fan. Love Tottenham. Yeah. And he was an Arsenal fan. Johnny. So it was like he supported Arsenal. I supported Tottenham. Tottenham hate Arsenal. Arsenal hate Tottenham.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So we were enemies before friends.
Claro.
You know, with the football.
Claro, bueno, que él conocía.
But so I went to see them rehearse, and I couldn't believe how good they were, the Sex Pistols. And the best one was Glenn Matlock, the bassist. He's the best. Very musical. Yeah.
Dice que
he was. Yeah, go on.
Que fue a verlo después y que empezaron como a tocar un poco, pero dice que el mejor era el bajista.
Glenn Matlock.
Sí. Okay.
Yeah, and so they were very, very good. And so punk started, and we all know what happened. I wouldn't join. I was asked to join punk bands, but didn't really want to. I was a bit snobby. I felt they weren't very imaginative. It was very old-fashioned and wanted to do something different. So Johnny Rotten fell out with McLaren very badly. So he left the Sex Pistols and formed Peel, because I'm his friend, and I started to play a bit of bass around the squats, and he knew that I was a big reggae fan. He knew I would like to play deep lines, bass lines.
Give me a sec, please.
And so he got, yeah.
Sí, dice que bueno, que ahí los empezó a ver, que empezaron a andar, y que a él lo invitaban mucho, lo empezaron a invitar porque los iba a ver, y lo empezaron a invitar a tocar en bandas de punk, que él era medio snob, y que no le copaba mucho, le parecían que eran como old fashion, que es como antiguos,
Okay.
no, directamente como que no le gustaba, hasta que Rotten y Leiden se pelearon con McLaren. Tuvieron ahí una pelea bastante fea, y ahí empezó él a aparecer un poco más en la escena, que ellos sabían que él era muy fan del reggae.
Okay.
Y now you can go on.
No problem, Marie. Just don't. It's Marie, isn't it? Your name,
sí.
I think. So don't. Yeah, just don't worry. And
Okay.
Lloyd, so she must be Welsh, right? Welsh heritage.
Me? Yes. Yeah. I am. Are you talking about me? Yeah.
Because Lloyd.
Sí.
Yeah. Lloyd is a Welsh name.
Yeah,
so
I am.
Two L's is Welsh. Yeah. So it's all good. I play Wells a lot. You know, my wife loves Wells. My wife plays Chinese harp, and she plays Western harp and Celtic harp. So all her work is Wells, because the Welsh love harp.
Wow.
You know.
Dice que
it's a Celtic. It's a Celtic. I'm an Irish citizen as well, so in Ireland as well, we like the harp. It's like the Celtic thing, you know. So anyway, Yeah, that's it. Anyway, so
Me preguntó si
right.
era galesino.
Yeah, sorry, so I was
No, no,
digressing.
it's okay.
So he left Peel.
Después les cuento.
I got a phone call from him. You know, we didn't have mobiles, landline, and he got Keith Levine to play guitar. So that was good. I thought that was a good choice. Unfortunately, Keith had a drug problem. You know, that was one of the things that really screwed Peel up. Because as you start to get a bit of money, Keith got worse pretty quickly. But the idea was to have it developed very quickly, the idea of Peel. It was really quite abstract for me. It was an abstract idea, like a shape, like a painting. Like, it's funny. Normally, musical movements follow fine arts. They're normally, music is 30 or 40 years behind. So, like, of Impressionists, Monet, and people, those artists are there 30, 40 years before Debussy. You know, the visual art comes first.
Wow. Let me.
For me, post-punk. Yeah. So,
sorry.
and
For you,
I'll
post-punk
say
what?
this quickly.
Sí.
Yeah. Well, so post-punk for me was really the same movement as the abstract expressionists, Jackson Pollock, Rothko, these formless,
Wow.
abstract expressionists.
Let me
To
say
me,
that.
it was a very similar sensibility. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Dice que, bueno, ahí lo empezaron a invitar un poco a tocar cuando empezaron a armar la banda, cuando se pelean con McLaren, que empieza a aparecer él en escena. Invitaron a un guitarrista que se me fue el nombre del guitarrista.
Levine.
Sí,
Levine.
que tenía problemas de alcohol y que después que quedó como medio ahí, y que él dice que piensa que la música siempre está como, dice unos 30 años atrás de la pintura, y que le pasaba que para él el post-punk era como re abstracto, ¿viste? Y entonces lo representaba, dice, un poco con Pollock y ese tipo de pintores, ¿no? Como que él decía que como que no le encontraba, le parecía muy loco. Okay, now you can go on.
Yeah, so, and I think we not only was the attitude similar to the abstract expressionists, we were all nihilists. We were all on different drugs at different times and living very dangerously. Not at all very bohemian, not at all bourgeois. So very, very alternative. And so the idea very quickly formed, even with our first track, Public Image, was a song, but it was built differently to most songs. Harmonically, it was different. So it was very commercial, but it already had a different basis. It was more like reggae sonically, maybe, than rock. And so I think we quickly took that with Metal Box. By the time we made the second album, there was this thing of, let's just not bother with songwriting or any of that bourgeois rubbish. Let's just make something very primal, very real, very from the heart,
Okay.
That for me, yeah, go on, sorry, translate.
Sí,
yeah.
Sí, dice que ellos eran muy nihilistas, estaban en cualquiera, todos tenían como, bueno, no en cualquiera, pero como que eran adictos, que tenían como muchos pensamientos muy diferentes, que ni siquiera eran bohemios, que buscaban como que empezaron como a buscar lo más alternativo posible, y que empezaron a hacer canciones que eran armónicamente diferentes, dice, que incluso como que dice que tenían como algo más del reggae, ¿no? Como que metían ahí, empezó a aparecer ahí el reggae, no se calentaron por hacer las letras, dijeron, hagamos algo primario, algo sumamente real, que salga así del corazón. Ok.
Vamos a una pregunta más.
Yeah, it was that saying, I was only in it for 2 years, but it was very extreme. So the album was very primal. The only music I have ever heard that was as primal and as dark was Miles Davis Electric Period, Dark Magus, stuff like that. It's very dark. It's very contemptuous. completely not. It's not mannered. You know, it's not at all mannered. It's very rough and ready and primal and straight to it. You know,
Dice que
no chord. Not looking for chord progressions or anything. You know.
Dice que no buscaban progresiones frías, que estuvo 2 años, que fue como un montón para él, como muy intenso, que el álbum que sacaron era como dice, primal es como muy instintivo, primitivo, tal cual, que la única música que él había escuchado era así, entiendo que dijo Dub Makers, que es como lo que hacían el dub, como que era oscuro, profundo, pero más duro y más crudo, así como.
Perfecta.
No buscaban, como que no buscaban una forma.
Total. Para no molestarlo a él, si quiere que vayamos a unas últimas preguntas.
We don't know how much time do you have.
It's okay. I'm cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay.
You're nice people. I'd rather be talking to you than talking to other people.
Thank you very much.
Quería ir a una pregunta, no dejarlo pasar, que me interesó porque está la invitación hecha para que venga Esquel y a Trevelin, que es la comunidad galesa, aquí cerquita de Esquel, pero quiero que entren en la conversa ustedes ahí.
Mauro wants you to know that you are invited to Esquel and Trevelin, where we have a Welsh community. I come from a Welsh community.
Yeah.
We have a very important history here in Patagonia, and he wanted to ask you about that because he got interested.
Yeah.
You said your wife is Welsh?
No, my wife's Chinese. My wife is Chinese. Yeah. She grew up she came to Liverpool young, grew up. So she was in the Cultural Revolution, can you imagine, with the Maoists and having to march with a red flag, and then they had to kill all the birds because the birds were eating the crops. They had to kill all the birds, and then there were too many flies because the birds wasn't eating the flies. So they had to go out and kill all the flies, you know, Cultural Revolution. It was pretty heavy. And but she grew up in Liverpool, but she plays harp. So she goes into Wells a lot, and I play Wells quite a lot. We do a lot of shows in Wells, and where I live in Manchester, you can drive to Wells in 30 minutes. You know, so the northwest of England's right next to North Wales, so it's like you're just a short up the 30 minutes on the motorway past Chester, you're into Wales.
Okay.
You know.
Dice que su mujer viene, que es china, que ella viene de la revolución maoísta. Recién contó, creo que es una metáfora sobre que los mandaban, como que vino medio perseguida. Había como una frase, algo así como que los pájaros maten a las moscas, y que ella venía medio corriendo de ahí, que tocaba el arpa, y que ahí es donde fue allá a tocar el arpa, y ahí es donde entró en contacto con la música galesa, que él también toca mucha música galesa, y que además está muy vinculado. Él en realidad viene de Irlanda, tiene raíces irlandesas, y que además a 30 minutos de Manchester puede llegar a Gales, y que entonces por eso tiene como mucho vínculo muy cercano.
Para ir finalizando y súper agradecidos, agradecido de corazón, preguntarle a John por qué hay tanta música del mundo en toda su trayectoria, ¿no? Encontramos diversidades musicales étnicas o la world music, si le interesa mucho esa búsqueda de diferentes músicas del mundo y si le gustaría por ahí en algún momento ahondar en la música originaria de acá, de Welsh Mapuche, y por qué no galesa también.
We are very thankful from our hearts to have you here with us. And I'm gonna add something. It is very important to us to get your voice in our radio, for people in Esquel to hear you.
That's very nice. It's an honor to be asked.
Dice que está honrado por eso. Y que dice, Mauro wants to ask you about if you're interested in diversity of music around the world. If you are interested in that path, and if you would like to know about, for example, native music, we have here Mapuches and Tehuelches, and also why not Welsh?
Oh, I'm absolutely. Where do I start with this? there's no inherent. I'm a Buddhist, so I was brought up a Catholic, helping the priest, altar boy, but I became a Buddhist. It was the nearest thing I could find. So I believe in the 4 pillars of Buddhism, you know, that all conditioned phenomena are suffering, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent, and thirdly, all conditioned phenomena lack an inherent self. So there is no fixed thing. Everything's almost interdependent and moving. And it's fine. You within that you develop a certain tradition, and I like traditions. I like French food, so I like the French tradition based on the 4 sources and the tradition. I don't have any issue with that, and I can see why people don't want to change their traditions. So traditions are very important, so I'm very cool with that. And also, so if I make a reggae record, so when I made a record with Horace Andy last year, we have to follow the tradition, what's now the traditional reggae form. You can't be putting a heavy metal guitar in it because people won't like it. But the basic thing is everything is interdependent, and there's no fixed center anywhere. So it's a void. And this is a beautiful thing to swim through. You learn to swim through this. And so I love this. And I love having Armenian bread or having food from around the world. And I really love music from around the world. So, you know, my 2 sons play music, and they make a mixture of Mongolian, because their mum's part Mongolian as Chinese, so part Mongolian, Irish, you know, a whole mix of things. And I'd love to hear the indigenous music of Patagonia. I would love that, you know. I know the Welsh language is still spoken in Patagonia, and I know if the Welsh language is spoken, people will still play the harp in Wales, in Patagonia.
Sí.
Yeah.
Dice que sí le gustaría ahondar en la música, que él es budista, que nació en una familia católica, pero después se transformó al budismo, que tiene varios pilares el budismo, en donde él nombró ahí un par, pero dice algo así como que todo es dinámico, que no hay nada puro, en sí mismo puro, que no tiene problema con las tradiciones, que le gustan las tradiciones, de hecho le gusta la comida francesa, dice que son importantes, que de hecho cuando hizo reggae el año pasado, no entendí con quién, pero hizo reggae, un álbum de reggae, y que trabajaron mucho sobre la tradición más dura del reggae.
¿Con Horace Andy?
Sí, sí, Horace Andy, ahí le preguntamos. Pero dice que todo en definitiva, volviendo a su regla budista, es interdependiente, que como no hay purismos y que a él le gusta mucho nadar en eso, y por eso ama hacer y conocer toda la música, que sus hijos tocan y hacen mucha mezcla, porque su mamá china tiene ascendencia mongolia, él también irlandesa, y que bueno, que ellos tocan esa música y que a él le gusta mucho. Y que sabe también, dice, por ejemplo, es una muestra de eso la Patagonia, que acá hablamos la lengua galesa, dice que sabe que acá se cuida la lengua galesa y que le encantaría entonces conocer toda esa mezcla.
Para finalizar, me gustaría preguntarle a John cómo se está preparando o cómo están siendo las presentaciones del último álbum que está presentando con los Invaders of the Heart, ¿no? Con la banda, y el álbum es el Metal Box Rebuilt.
Dice, he wants to ask about, for finishing, about your presentations and how you're getting to prepare the lines that you're doing in England with the Invaders.
Porque tenemos gente de Esquel y Trevelin allá también.
Because we have people from Trevelin and Esquel there.
You have what? What's that, Darcy?
We have people from Esquel y Trevelin que van a ir a verlos.
Que están allá y les gustaría saber las fechas también ahí.
That are there in England. And,
fechas cercanas.
And they want to know about your next, ¿cómo se dice fechas? Your next shows with the Invaders.
Oh yeah, we've got shows in coming up on Friday. We've got a show in a strange part of Britain, in Barton-on-Humber. It's a lovely, beautiful place. It's the longest, so Friday's a weird one. It's the longest venue I've ever been in, because they used to make ship's ropes there.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, so it's about, I think it's about half a mile long. like 2 or 3 kilometers long, this building. It's amazing. And the stage is right down the end. But so we're out in April playing some shows with Invaders and Metal Box shows. And then we have a bigger tour in November. So we're always working. I think we go through Europe as well in November. We would love to come to Argentina one day. I've never been to Argentina. I've never been to South America, which is crazy, really, because so much of it. Borges, I love Borges. 100 Years of Solitude. Who was that guy? The Colombian writer.
Wow,
I've forgotten his
yeah,
name.
Gabo García Márquez.
Yeah, Marquez. Yeah, so
There's
he
a
wrote so
Netflix.
beautifully.
There's a Netflix
Oh, I
series.
love that.
You,
And Death in the Time of Cholera. The difference between the Caribbean coast and the Pacific coast of Colombia, the different people, and Borges was the most incredible, deep, there's such a sensibility with Argentina, it's so European, I think, and yet so fiery and so grounded with something else, with a mix of people, the Italian thing so big, and even a place called Murphy, lots of Irish people, settled there as well. So yeah, Argentina kind of fascinates me, and obviously because being a Tottenham fan, with all the amount of Argentinian players, I have an affinity to Argentina.
which players?
Ozzy Ardiles and Ricky
sí,
Villa,
de fútbol.
they came and were heroes. Yeah, they came to Tottenham, and then the fucking Falklands War happened, so then they couldn't play because of the Malvinas situation, which was just crazy. We lost. So I hated that fucking war, because war's bad, but we lost our 2 very best players when we had a very successful team. So that was bad. And we now have Christian Romero, who's really good, really aggressive defender, Argentina defender. So we've had a few. There's a guy as well, Villiers. He's on loan at the moment in Spain. So, but yeah, I would love to come. I would love to come with a band. My band my band are very nice guys. They're Invaders of the Heart. They're great players, very good musicians, and they're very.
It amazes me how much you know about Argentina, but let me tell to the people who's listening. Dice que, primero, y además me llama mucha atención porque que van a hacer shows el viernes, tienen un show que es en una parte medio rara, porque está una avenida larguísima de Londres, y por eso digo, me flashea ¿viste? Su devoción por las calles, la cuestión ahí de arquitectura. Era una antigua bajada de barcos esta calle, que van a hacer un box, creo que se llama el lugar, y después dijo que van a hacer ahí una fecha, después tiene una fecha más grande en Europa, en noviembre, también una en London, que quieren ir a Argentina, nunca estuvo ni en Sudamérica, que le gusta Borges, le gusta García Márquez, 100 años de soledad, y que dice, porque dice, le encanta, volviendo a esto de la mezcla, ¿no? Dice, le encanta porque es re sudamericano, pero a la vez tiene algo de Europa, dice, estos escritores, y que también le pasó que, bueno, cuando vino la maldita guerra de Malvinas, bueno, eso también obturó mucho, no solamente le gusta mucho el fútbol, Ardiles nombró a Cristian Romero, o Cristian, no sé, Cristiano Romero, no sé, de fútbol no me cajo una, que es un defensor, y que bueno, que él como que eso como que bloqueó mucha relación también, y que bueno, un poco por eso tampoco volvió.
Para finalizar, ya, agradecerle una pregunta. ¿Messi o Maradona?
For finishing, ¿Messi or Maradona?
I've had some big arguments with people about this. Okay, my head would say Maradona. Okay, my head would say Maradona because he won the league title for Naples. For Napoli. He could have played against 11 men on his own. But my heart says Messi. My heart says Messi. Head says Maradona. Heart says Messi. Because Messi's just such a nice guy. Messi's like a guy down the pub, a regular guy. So I've had arguments with a lot of my friends about this, because they all love Maradona and think Maradona's just, and he was fantastic. But Messi, for me, that Barcelona team was beautiful football, was wonderful. And for me, my heart says Messi,
Okay.
even more than Maradona. I think Messi for me is a very, very likable guy. He's kind of like a British guy. Yeah. Do you know what? He's like a British guy who's just has a beer and then goes and plays fantastically. Very humble somehow in his attitude. You know, great left foot, an amazing left foot, you know.
Sí,
Yeah.
dice que su cabeza diría Maradona porque estuvo en Napoli, porque el tipo jugaba él solo contra 11 jugadores, por lo que hizo por Napoli en realidad, y porque era un chabón que jugó él solo contra 11 jugadores, pero que su corazón dice Messi, primero y principal porque es un buen tipo, dice que es un tipo que parece un tipazo, que es un tipo común, que va, juega zarpado, que tiene una increíble pata izquierda, que se vive perdiendo por esto con los amigos, pero que eso le maravilla que es un tipo como humilde, muy humilde, y después va y la rompe jugando y vuelve, y un tipo común.
John, agradecerte con lo más profundo de nuestro corazón esta hermosa charla y decirte que estás invitado realmente a Esquel, a Trevelin, cuando vengas a Sudamérica. Tienes todo disponible para venir aquí y no solamente iremos a lugares hermosos de nuestros paisajes, nuestras culturas, sino que armaremos un partidito de fútbol aquí entre amigos y amigas.
We're very thankful to have you. And he wants you to know that you are really, really invited to Argentina, to Esquel and Trevelin, and we're gonna make a team for you to play soccer here, football.
No, I stopped playing 2 years ago. I had I tore my abductor muscle. I broke my thumb recently. Yeah, I broke the thumb playing football. So yeah, I was playing till quite recently. Both my sons play music, but elder boy boxes good. He's registered the ABA boxer. My younger boy was a professional footballer for a little while when he left school. So he's a really good player, but decided to go to university. And I said, yeah, I support you with that. So he went to university and he has a good job now, big job, and he still plays football, but they make music. I'll send you their music. I'll send the music over.
Please, yes, please.
And I will talk to my agent. Maybe I'll put my agent in contact with you and we can work something out with flying to do a show. Because before I die, I should come to Argentina. Argentina for me, when I see the Wild West programs in America, which I love, the really good HBO about the Wild West, Frontiersland, I think Argentina is an even better story to tell than America, with all the settlers from Italy, from Ireland, from Wales, you know, going inland. Incredible history with Perón. It's a whole different political system, you know. So I always find it very interesting, most interesting place in South America. Somehow very sad if I die before I get to Argentina. So I'd like to come just once.
We're gonna do what we have. We're gonna do everything that we can. So just put us in contact.
No solo un enorme músico, sino ahora es una persona muy, muy amable y más querida todavía como persona.
You're not only a wonderful musician, but also we got to know a beautiful person. You are.
Well, thank you, and you are too. Both of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bueno, that's it.
Sí. Bye. Thank you very much.
See. Bye bye.
Thank
bye
you.
bye.